Alright, so we have a pretty big number of things to do here, so let's get started. First thing we need to do is we need to navigate to tab root view when the login is successful. So we're going to start by using navigation link here. Close that up. Make a navigation view. I'm going to bring this entire Z stack inside of that. I'm going to re-indent the whole thing. Move up to the top, I'm going to create a new state var. String, sorry. 2 equals false, it's a boolean. We're going to use that down here when we get to this button. And to this button right here, we need to log in. That's going to be our navigation link. And its initializer is going to have, it's not going to have the label, we just need the destination, which will be tabbed root view. Okay. Then I'm going to drag this entire button inside of it. But it's crucial that we use this as active is logged in. We just need to put this right there. It's crucial that we use this is active portion because that allows us to make sure that we navigate only when this becomes true. It's not just every time we click on this button. So now we'll go to the action inside of this button. Okay, and what we need to do is we need to validate whatever comes back. We can't just log in because you found my username. We need to log in because the username and password both match. So what we can do is we can actually validate it locally. And the reason I'm going to validate it locally is because option 1 is to send 2 queries. Well, I want it to be able to tell me when I found your username but not your password. So I can either do that by sending 2 queries and seeing if both, seeing, okay, does the password come back matching? And then if it does, then great. But if it doesn't, then does at least the username come back matching? I could do that. Or another option is I could just fetch based on the username, and then when it comes back, I'll just locally check the password. I don't know a lot about data security and that kind of stuff, to be honest with you. So I'm just doing what I think is easier, and I think what's quicker is just to send one request. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come inside here, and I'm going to get rid of this right here. This blank users found. It's kind of irrelevant until I figured out whether or not first I'm going to validate the form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to say for document and query snapshots. Let's see. First I want to put an else if query snapshots.document is greater than 0 or less than or equal to 0. I'm going to say if it is greater than or 1. So that's another big important one. Let's say we can put an alert view and then say something went wrong. More than one user exists with your username. That's something, of course, we should be validating on the sign up page, but for now, we're not going to deal with that. Sorry, it looks like we put an extra piece of bracket or something somewhere. So let's figure out where that is. I need this else. Let's just not jump again. Let's just slow down. Back up here. So we had this else statement. I'm going to put this for document in. First I'm going to put that in here, okay? So that should be good. So we're just back to where we had, if it's less than or equal to 0, tell me no users found. If it's greater than, then what I want you to do is I want you to compare. I'm going to say if document.data, say password is equal to, and then it'll be self.password, but this is going to be as string, and it's optional, so I like to use this question default value just to make sure nothing's forced. It's all optionally unwrapped, and then I'm going to check what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say what happens if they match, and I'll say is logged in is equal to true. So I'm saying if the passwords also match, then we're going to log in. Else, I want alert view to tell me. We put an error. We'll say password doesn't match. I'm just going to say, I'm not even going to put a message, I'm just going to put no. I'm going to copy that though, because I do want to get to what we were trying to do up here. I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to just put one more thing before this else. I'm going to say else if. I'm going to put that in there, and it's going to say if query snapshot dot documents dot count is greater than 1. And I wanted to say anything went wrong. Multiple accounts exist with this username. And we need to validate that later on sign in or sign up. Okay, so that should take care of that. Let's see what happens. We'll go to the simulator. Let's see what it shows us. So, first things first. Let's type in CG. Login. No users found. Well, that makes sense. Let's do. Let me make sure. C is not capitalized. So, login. This password doesn't match, so now I'll do potato. Password still doesn't match, and that makes sense because it's a capitalized P. And there we go. Now we officially logged in, okay? So what I want to do now is I can go back. I don't want to go back to the login page. That's not right. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to tabbed review. And I'm going to say that tabbed review, I'm going to embed the entire thing inside of a navigation view. And this next part I've actually went over in another video, but what I'm doing, after I re-indent everything, I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say the title. I can name it anything. I can name it. I'm going to write hidden. Okay. Doesn't have to be written hidden. I could write anything because the actual thing that's hiding it now is going to be navigation bar hidden. And that's going to be true. And if I run it, let's see what happens. You know, I haven't fiddled too much with this login, with these text fields yet. So I don't really know what we're capable of doing from an aspect of changing things like default capitalization. That's why right now I'm just doing this right there. Login. You still have that back button, kind of what I expected. But if you go back, actually, it's because And we need this navigation bar title. We need that to be on a different level. So let's go ahead to this tabbed. Where we need it is we need it right here inside tab view. Now if we run it again, while that's running, let's check out these text fields and let's see what we can change about this text field. If you have, there we go, auto capitalization style. Let's fix that actually since we're here. Capital. We'll say dot none. And for this text field, we actually probably want, instead we want to say secure field. And we also want to change probably to none. Let's try that out. Should work a little better. Log in. And there we go. So now we got this far and we have no text bar up here, but we do have this height that we need to get rid of. So that height I found to be notoriously difficult to get rid of. What I'm going to do in that case is I'm actually going to go to this tabbed root view. This is how I've handled it before. Is I'm actually going to take this tabbed root view and I'm going to drag it out. I'm going to put it underneath the navigation view. And I'm going to put both items now inside of a Z stack. Okay. And by putting them both inside of a Z stack, there we go. Let's see. We should put like a random text in there. I put nothing in there. And let's see what we get. That should take care of that. We also want to make sure these text fields have a foreground color of white when you're writing in them. Login. Now we got that hidden. Let's go back to tabs review in here. Okay. Now I've struggled a little bit with trying to figure out how to get rid of these, you know. It's definitely a difficult task. Let's see if we manage to fix this. So there's that. So in the next video, I'll figure out how to get rid of hidden, so we don't have to deal with tackling this for forever here. Let's go ahead and keep moving. So we need to set up the global environment for constants. We need to, for instance, maintain who's logged in once I've logged in. So I'm going to go here to structs, enums, and custom classes. And I'm going to create a new structure. Okay, that's going to be user. So struct user will be identifiable. And I'm going to put the following items. I'm going to put a ID, a username, password, name, and email. It doesn't matter if I can put this because I'm not supposed to. So there's that. So UID needs to have this right here. Okay, and that takes care of that. Now I need to go and create my custom environment. And I'm going to grab this new class called a global environment, okay? And that is going to be an observable object. Okay, and this was from something I had previously created, so I'm going to get rid of this right here, and I'm going to write user dot init, and it will have no value for username or password or name or email for that matter. at default at least. It won't have any of those things. That's the only thing I'm going to keep in my global environment for now. Go back here, and in the scene delegate, now I'm going to go into the scene delegate, and we're going to add this observed object. Okay. And then inside of the scene will connect to session, what I need to do is I need to add this context. So we'll go to will connect to session. And what we need to add is this little piece right here. Content view, and we need to have the environment object, and we need to use this global environment object. Okay, so right now we have login view. That's what we're using instead. So it's the same thing though. I'm going to grab this half of it. I'm going to bring it here. So you need to use an environment object, and then what goes inside the argument is whatever you chose to name that global class we put inside here. Let's see what it's telling us. It's saying, essentially, it's saying, hey, you're never going to use context if you write it like that. And that is completely okay. Because truthfully, we're not going to really need it. What I did keep in the last one is I did keep a second line that they had originally had. I just left it below. So it looked like this. That'll get rid of this warning saying we never use context, but it's going to give us another warning saying this line is never even executed. And that's because we're using this environment. Okay, and that should be that for the setup of that. Save it, I'll run it. And we can actually make sure that we did everything correct in that regard by going to, we can go to login view here, and we can actually use that environment variable. So we're going to go check out our project over here and see how we use this. So what we did, I'm going to copy and paste this line from an old project, and we're going to go back to desktop. And what you'll see is in login view, I can add a new environment object, and I'm going to name that, env, and it's going to be of type global environment. And that's the type that we had. That's the type. Remember, that type is what I had created. And that's my custom class right there, okay? And so I can take that class. I can initialize it up there. I can come down here and say, when someone logs in, and the login is completely successful, right before we navigate, what I want you to do is I want you to set env dot current user is going to be equal to user dot init user. We'll let ID be default. We'll let it decide itself. Username is going to be equal to. Let's go ahead and do this. Document data. Use the same exact kind of format here. Name, email, and username. Okay. I'll save that. We need to write self because we're in a closure. Alright, and then I'll take this same line and I'll drag it to the tabbed root view. And we might as well just take advantage of the situation and just put it as a title here. So let's get rid of that. Let's just write env.currentUser.username. Let's go ahead and just see what happens. I've never tested this idea out yet, so I'm making a bit of a gamble here, but it should work. So once I log in, There we go. Username is now the title here. So that's how I know that I logged in and I actually passed that information from the database over into my global environment, which is an observable object that we used as the environment variable for all the views. Okay, I know that because I set the value in login view and I actually access that same value in tabbed root view. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.